Hello everyone. After experimenting for 3 days, I finally came up with a Field Marshal ready, battle-tested German discard deck. Discard has become dramatically more popular over the last 3 months. I'd say about 1/5 of all games I've played around rank 3000 and higher have been against German discard decks. I'd like to think that's because of my videos, but probably people have started playing them and the results speak for themselves. In a game full of gimmick decks that rely on a few key cards, discard is a truly fun and universally viable deck to play. Whenever you enter a game, you feel like you have an equal chance of winning, no matter who you are facing. Before we begin, I want to say that I realize this deck is very expensive. It requires 8 special cards and 6 elite cards. To compensate for this, I've linked a budget version of the deck below that requires only 3 special cards and 0 elite cards. Start off with that template and then gradually switch in special and elite units once you have the cards ready. Let's get started. First, we have 3 ROUT cards. These cards are crucial for surviving the early game. There are some extremely powerful rush decks out that can destroy your HQ and make you lose by turn 2. These ROUT cards stop those pushes cold. On top of that, it has an extremely powerful synergy with this sissy Finnish guard infantry. For every unit you rout, it triggers this guard's special ability, buffing it up by 1 attack and 1 defense. You'll see later Capitulation plays into that synergy too. Next is 1 Light Detachment 15. This is a cheap guard unit that scales up okay later into the game. Its attack goes up by 1 every time the enemy deploys a more powerful unit. It also has 4 defense too, making it tough to break through. Suppression has fallen out of favor recently in favor or rout and other orders, so this guard is more than capable of slowing down rushing enemy decks. Next are 2 ARADOs. This 1 cost fighter increases your card draws, blocks bombers, and synergizes well with suppression. Let's talk about that now. For suppression. This deck has many fighters for discard, 2 German discard STUKAs, 3 Finnish discard fighters, and 2 ARADOs. So suppression can stop buffed up units, bypass guards, increase your card draw from your cheap fighters, and take your enemy by surprise because these days no one is including suppression in their decks, it seems, especially not for suppression. Next are the Sissy Guard Infantry we talked about before. This is a 2-cost unit that can cheaply stop rushes, synergizes with routed units, and if your enemy lets it get powerful enough, it can cheaply push in the front line to threaten the enemy HQ. 4 Friendly Fire Countermeasures. This card is critical. It stops enemy pushes, defends your HQ, and often destroys or heavily damages their HQ in the process. If your enemy runs into this too much, they will assume you're a countermeasure deck when you're not, making them extremely passive and paranoid, which is to your advantage. This deck, as you will see, also has a lot of HQ damage and HQ pressure, so turning your enemy's friendly fire on their HQ can single-handedly win you games. Bring 4 of these. U375. This is a standard 2-cost discard card. It absolutely ruins your opponent's hand for low cost. It's fun to use all these Finnish cards, but don't forget fundamentally, this is a discard deck. REICH RESEARCH. This is a versatile card that can increase your card draw, destroy enemy units, or force them to discard. It's not absolutely necessary to include. So if you feel that your deck is weak in one category, whether it be countering a certain type of unit or surviving early or late game, swap this card out with something else. 3 Finnish BF-109s. This card is the mainstay of the deck. It's cheap, just 3 credits. It discards your enemy's cards quickly. Paired with 4 suppressions, you can bypass guards all day and constantly ruin their deck. Your opponent will be made so paranoid by just a single one of these fighters, they will blow all of their orders just trying to stop it a single time. They may be able to do it 1 time, but they can't do it 3 times. Next are 2 German discard Stukas. Similar to the Finnish BF-109, this card can bypass guards by firing directly on their HQ, making them discard. It's a little more expensive at 4 credits, so watch your spending as you put it into the game. Next is the 4th Detached Battalion. This deck is a little light on units that can take over the field, give you board control, and engage your enemy's units. With its salvage ability, this can help you steal powerful cards from your opponent and use their effects for yourself. It also automatically destroys 2 cost units, making it shut down command and rush decks with ease. 2 SCHÜTZEN regiments. Every once in a while, there's a particular unit that's making you concerned. Use the SCHÜTZEN to cheaply clear it out. Once it wins the fight, it's a unit that gives you board presence and forces your opponent to deal with it because of its 4 attack. Next are 2 WOLFPACKs. This powerful card discards enemy cards in their hand and can make them waste huge amounts of credits trying to get their expensive units back into the field. This card also is good for delaying or even potentially removing individual units are that threatening your HQ. This is a must-have. WOLFPACK has single-handedly won me games. Next is the TIRPITZ. With all the rush decks out there, this card stops the enemy from deploying more units, giving you desperately needed breathing room. Because this deck has many expensive discard cards, you want the game to go on as long as possible so you can afford them. The TIRPITZ makes those delays possible. Next is the KOMET. As you can image, with so many fighters and bombers in your deck, bypassing your enemy's guards and firing on their HQ to trigger discards, their HQ defense goes down fast. This only adds to that. When the moment is right, you can snipe your opponent's low defense HQ, securing the victory. 7th is the ALPENFESTUNG. This card is a must-have. Because you're not playing France, your HQ has no way to recover defense lost to enemy attacks. Use this to save your HQ from a defeat before you can delay the game into reaching your expensive discard cards. It discards 10 of your cards, but that's not a big deal. This deck isn't reliant on a few key cards to trigger a gimmick, so if you discard rest, assured you have so many copies of everything you'll be able to find another one. A great feature of this card, too, is that if you wait until you have completely run out of cards, you can strengthen your HQ's defense to 25 for free because you have no cards to discard. This card is mandatory. Next is ANNIHILATION. This card is expensive, and with all the other discards in the deck, I would say it's optional to include. Still, the more discard, the better. Use it if you can. 7th is KRIEGSMARINE. This is an excellent card. It does damage to your opponent's HQ, which synergizes extremely well with your cheap fighters, KOMET, and other HQ pressure cards. It also triggers a discard. This card is devastating to your opponent and can secure you a victory by turn 7. Just make sure you use it when your opponent has a full hand. The more cards they have, the more damage it does. Next are 2 Panzer IVs. These tanks can help you destroy enemy units that are starting to overpower your early game defenses and push towards the enemy HQ to deliver the final blow on their weakened defenses. A great thing about it is that if it wins the fight, its health regenerates. This is a powerful and cost-effective unit. Finally, we have Capitulation. In an emergency, this can clear out an enemy that has taken over the board. It also synergizes extremely well with the Finnish Guard infantry we talked about earlier. For every unit you rout with it, your guard will gain 1 attack and 1 defense. Let's see the deck in action now. This first one is against a Soviet T-34 deck, or at least I think. The game ended so quickly I never got to fully see what cards he had up his sleeve. I push into the front line with my early guard because he isn't reacting. I activate my countermeasure and bait his tank into damaging his HQ for me. That attack cost him 2 credits and was extremely expensive. But do you know what's more expensive than 2 credits? Playing that 4-cost tank again after I used WOLFPACK on it. He sees that I'm lightly deployed, so he goes for a long-term credit buff. I'm worried he will overwhelm my defenses with waves of Soviet tanks, so I preemptively played my smokescreen salvage Finnish infantry. He falls for friendly fire again, damaging his HQ down to 10. I see one of his key cards there. It's a Soviet infantry that allows his tanks to fight all your units upon deployment. It can be used to cheaply wipe out your board presence and defenses. He's broken through my guard, but decides to give up. I'm not sure why. We were matched evenly in cards, and to be honest, I didn't have much follow-up after losing that guard. It seems like he didn't know that, though, and gave up. It's likely if this were a competitive game, he would have kept fighting. The reason I'm not playing competitive is that the season just reset, and I want to play my matches up to Field Marshal on my live stream. Subscribe to catch that. This one is against a British Fury Rush deck. It relies on cheap Fury tanks that can be cheaply buffed into the stratosphere to not one-shot but two-shot your HQ. These decks are extremely dangerous and can cause you to lose the game in 2 turns. Thankfully, this deck is designed by every possible angle to survive the early game. I go for the suppression on his tank. It may have been better to wait for him to sink buff cards into the tank before suppressing it, but I just didn't feel like taking any chances. This deck has 4 suppressions, so I can afford to waste them. My guard buys me more time. Against these decks, you just need to do whatever you can to survive as long as possible. ROUT would have made my guard infantry stronger, but he intercepts the order. I settle for friendly fire to keep that guard alive. The good news is that it's passively preventing him from deploying more units. He doesn't want to make my guard stronger. My Finnish smokescreen salvage infantry does exactly what it's intended to do. It cuts down 2 credit rush units. I see now that his deck is also British Air. In that case, you want to use the SCHÜTZEN regiment to take out his strongest air unit, so he can't use that card that buffs the air unit and the ones adjacent to it. He's throwing caution to the window now and trying to rush down units. It's only making my guard stronger. I can turn the tables now and push into the front line, but first ROUT takes out his artillery and then makes my guard even stronger. I use discard on one of his artillery units and then take the front line with 2 infantry, one of which has 8 attack. He's in serious trouble. Adding more fighters only makes him dig deeper into the hole he's found himself in. He's trying to set up for a strong fighter push, but I just breeze through his guards and threaten his HQ. The pin here is smart and buys him more time. If this game drags on, he will be able to buff his fighters into defeating my infantry. The problem is friendly fire takes care of the problem for me. I carefully clear out his hand to make sure he doesn't have any countermeasures or tricks. He's down to 8 health now. The pin buys him more time. I throw caution to the wind and try to secure a quick game win and put down every unit I have. He's out of pin cards and I two-shot his HQ, winning the game. This one is against a German discard deck. This is an interesting matchup. You'll see though in this match what 3 days of adjusting and stress testing a deck does. This game isn't even close. I throw down the ARADO early. I have a suppression so I can still get a draw from it later. Same thing with the second one. I want to pressure his HQ as much as possible in preparation for my Finnish fighter. I was hoping he'd waste some orders on my ARADOs, but they don't come. He gets 2 strong discards on me. That's the advantage of using U-375 over slowly setting up with the Finnish fighter. Now that I am set up, though, I can do a lot of damage to his HQ and deck. That pin delays my discards. With a ROUT card and careful choice of targets with my ARADOs, I'm able to clear the front line, save my STUKA, and hit a discard on him. His discard misses. U-375 only discards cards at 5 cost or under. Capitulation in my hand is at cost 8. My STUKA discards his grenadiers. That's a devastating blow. He could have used it to rout my STUKA. The fighter he plays is a smart move. It blocks my bomber, and the suppression at least stops my discards. At this point, though, his HQ is so low on health, it's just as dangerous to fire on it conventionally, without discards. WOLFPACK sends back his expensive fighter and hits him with yet another punishing discard. He surrenders. This one is against the Soviet self-damage deck. I had a very unlucky draw at the beginning of the game. I didn't draw any guards or discards. This deck, though, has such robust draw that even if you get the worst possible luck, you're guaranteed to pull cards that will help you survive at the beginning of the game. Playing the ARADO early is good. You want to get his HQ defenses as low as possible so he self-damages himself into the danger zone. You might be thinking, I'm being crazy by firing the TIRPITZ into his HQ. It's making his guard unit stronger. I have 3 suppressions, though. I can shut down that guard anytime. Rather than suppress, though, I want to use his guard to my advantage. I bait him into attacking my HQ, and it's deflected with friendly fire. His HQ is at critical health now, which was my goal all along. He likely has cards that do damage to his HQ, so I want to make sure he's severely punished for even playing units. Discard and suppress ends his push. He surrenders. This game is against a Japanese rush deck that utilizes the new zero-cost French infantry that was introduced during the Naval update, because apparently two-cost infantry are just too expensive now. Next thing you know, there will be -1 credit infantry added to the game. Oh wait, those are Volksgrenadiers. Anyway, this game shows why getting the ALPENFESTUNG into your deck is mandatory. It saves games like this one. He played 2 out of the miss on my guards, so he actually got 2 copies of it. It was very risky here to go for the research upgrade. If you aren't fully in control of the front line against a rush deck, I would go for the V1 bomb instead. It's a calculated gamble here. I don't think he has enough cards to destroy my HQ, so I have time to go for synthetic fuel. It pays off, and I discard his entire hand and suppress his key units. ALPENFESTUNG saves the game here. He would have destroyed my HQ if not for that. I'm not out of the woods, though. Most of my deck has been discarded. Time is of the essence now to break through and destroy his HQ. That's where the Panzer IV comes in. His hand shuffle actually helps me. I only had 2 cards. I'm able to bounce back and dramatically increase my card count with draws. Pay attention to this. I salvage his guard out to give my HQ insurance. That's a smart move when you're facing rush decks. A blitz fighter here is terrifying, especially at 9 health. Discards wipe out his HAD though, so I know it's very unlikely he can damage my HQ with more than 5. I'm down to 1 health. It's very, very close. Then SCHÜTZEN regiment destroys his fighter, and I discard 2 of his cards with his fighters. I've turned the game completely around now and can safely take out his HQ. This one is against an American bomber deck. Watch what the Finnish guard units can do when your opponent is trying to boom instead of fight you during the early game. The draw here of 2 guards is lucky and won't happen most games, but when it does, it's devastating. I'm in front of his HQ now with 22 attack between my two guards. It's amazing how much this guard unit can paralyze your opponent's unit deploys. I would say the guard unit single-handedly won me this game, but there were actually two of them. This one is against a German countermeasure deck. Don't worry about these. Countermeasure just means that you have even more opportunities to discard your opponent's cards, just through overdraw instead. As soon as you see that motorcycle regiment, just assume they're playing countermeasure. Countermeasures are great though, because in the early game, you can slip in units like this Stuka and set yourself up for devastating discards later. I clear out his infantry and take the front line. He thinks he's set up to completely shut my push down because he has a full hand of countermeasures, but that's exactly the problem. He has a full hand of countermeasures. He overdraws the Bismarck. That's devastating. Whenever you face these countermeasures, just do nothing. Their countermeasures won't trigger, and their hand will fill up, so they overdraw again and again. Once you hit one of their countermeasures and break the overdraw like I did, it's time to go all the way. Throw down as many units as possible to break through their deployment countermeasures. You have to do it all in one turn, or they will set up the same countermeasures again on the second turn. They're limited by credits, so eventually you can break through if you time it right. I do that here and set myself up for a double discard after the smoke clears. He surrenders. This one is against a Soviet self-damage deck. I play my cheap guard to position myself for the inevitable rush. He doesn't react, so I go for a discard. Then I
just lost on turn 2. Tell me it's my fault again.